There's a couple of different positions I'm looking at this week to take with my Discord. So you can see here my watch list is relatively large, and it's starting out here with the Australian dollar against the US dollar. So the US fundamentals have been showing relative strength recently. So we can see here on the Edge Finder, we do have a score of 56, which is definitely an improvement from what it was previously. The US dollar previously had a score of, I think it was about 20%, 30%. It was very, very low, especially compared to where it is right now. I'm not just looking at the US fundamentals because we do have a bit more going on here that's sort of underneath the blanket if you go ahead and look. So the RBA has held rates steady at 3.6, and we do have a neutral to hawkish stance. If we compare that to the Fed, we do have signals cautious easing, 25 basis point cuts in September, blah, blah, blah. We kind of know what's going on with the US dollar. We've spoken about it extensively on this channel and inside my Discord. But current stance for the Fed is dovish to neutral. Now, we can't forget about this really, really poor ADP. So obviously, currently we've got a US government shutdown, so we haven't had a lot of the data indicators that we should need, or the fundamental indicators that we kind of need to start forming longer term ideas. For example, we haven't had NFP, so it's very difficult to really see what the Fed is doing. So that leads us really to just look at ADP because we don't have anything else to compare to. So ADP has had a very, very poor result, really bad result actually. So the forecast was 52k, previous was 54k, relatively balanced. It came out at negative 32k. That's an 84k difference. So that's really, really bad. And ADP is not a huge signal for NFP, but it can be. It can give you a rough idea of what NFP could be potentially. So that's leading me to think that maybe NFP could be very, very bad. On the other hand, Jolts has been relatively okay. So, you know, on target, not beat by much, but hopefully you get what I'm trying to say. I'm not super optimistic about NFP or the US data in general that we are going to get once the US government reopens. Now, there are some other factors, such as commodities, gold, silver, platinum, all on the rise. And we can see here that iron ore is doing okay. I mean, it's not doing anything spectacular like gold or silver, but it is in an uptrend. It seems to be very supported at the moment. And as we all should know, the Australian dollar is very driven by commodities. So with the precious metals getting supported and the central bank policy divergence, and we have risk on sentiment in the markets. I mean, we can go ahead and look at the S&P 500 as a great example. We can see that there is very clearly not a massive risk off sentiment in the markets right now, even though gold is rallying. So it puts me in a position where I actually do quite like the idea of fading the US dollar and buying Australian dollar. There is a bit of a consensus within smart money, so the bank reports again that we send out in our Discord are suggesting that the Australian dollar is relatively undervalued for its current economic landscape. So I'm currently looking at this level here with this previous resistance, turn support and turn support here. If we can see sort of Monday or Tuesday show a bit more rejection off this level, I would be quite happy to be a buyer. So I'm keeping this trade very, very simple. The technicals are very rough. There isn't really much else to go from. So if I draw the fib here from the low to the high, it doesn't really line up with anything. We do have some minor highs here right down at the 0.618. But I don't really like the look of that one, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm going to leave this trade. If we do see a rejection off here, I will be looking to be a buyer, but I'm not going to try and force anything on here. I'm not being overly aggressive. So moving on. We have got the Australian dollar against the New Zealand dollar. Now, I'm actually willing to take a little bit of a contrarian view on this market. So let me show you the weekly time frame. We've spoken about this again quite extensively inside the Discord and on our weekly watch list, even the streams I do. So what we've got is the Australian dollar against the US dollar is at very, very high levels relative to its sort of average price. So we can see this range was formed back in 2014 and we haven't managed to break it. We've had some minor sort of false breakouts, whatever you want to call them, but we've never, well, since then, we haven't managed to break up and form a new trend, which tells me that we are likely to see sellers start stepping in, and we actually have already seen that. So on the weekly time frame, we did come up to this previous high that was formed back in 2022, and sellers stepped in immediately and have pushed this candle right back down. So if we look at the daily time frame, we can see it is looking quite bearish. Now, why would I want to short if I was just saying I was bullish on the Australian dollar? Well, there are a couple of different reasons. So the RBNZ is actually quite dovish. However, it's largely priced in. You know, there's not really anything new going on. It's expected. Australia is doing well, so I'm not looking to short it right here. I would rather see something like this to potentially go long and then start taking shorts if we can come back and create a double top here. Now, What I'm also looking at here is just the market behavior and the way it historically moves. This is just sort of a range-bound market. Obviously, the Australian dollar, New Zealand dollar, their economies are very, very correlated. They're very tied together. So it's unlikely we're going to have a large breakout and trend continuation to the upside, or at least a sustained one. So it would actually make a lot of sense to just sort of DCA this and take a contrarian approach and start selling, expecting for price to come back down at least into 50% of the range. Now, again, this isn't backed up by a lot of fundamentals, but I do quite like the idea of, again, just taking that contrarian approach and seeing if we can get something going. Now, if obviously we did, for some reason, see some massive spike to the upside and some change in trends, change in market behavior, fine, I'll take the loss. It would be a very small position anyway. But again, it's something I am keeping an eye on because it's something I'm heavily considering, but I kind of just need to see a little bit more. This seems almost like a trap. It's just a V-shaped top here. I would, again, ideally like to see some sort of double top, some sort of economic shift, something to tell me that we could see a change in this market. Next up is Bitcoin. Now, anyone that watches me regularly will know Bitcoin is not something I really ever trade. In fact, I've never placed a position on Bitcoin, I don't think. I've got some investments in Bitcoin, but it's not something I pay much attention to on a daily basis. However, we are seeing a very bullish trend here, along with the Edge Finder giving us a bullish reading right here. I mean, it's only a bullish reading of 5, so it's nothing overly interesting or overly strong. However, what I'm looking for is a potential 50% retracement into this 200 moving average and then potentially taking some longs. And by this point, hopefully, we will see some sort of more indication within the US on what's going on. Maybe that'll be the government reopening or the Fed speak is something to tell us a bit more about the US. So if we do get NFP coming out low, we get higher unemployment, or we get lower inflation, it could be a nice idea to be a buyer of Bitcoin at this level. Swiss yen is quite an interesting one. So I am looking to actually be a short seller again. Now, anyone who's been listening to my content for sort of the past 12 months or so will know that Swiss yen ate me alive at the start of the year. So I was a big advocate for being a short seller around this period. Now, when I say ate me alive, it wasn't a huge loss or anything. It just completely went the other way. The market just rallied up higher. Now, that idea was originally based on the Bank of Japan continuing their path to normalization, continuing their hiking cycle. It was also built off the SMB going down into neutral to negative rates, which they have now done. So I was right on that part. But what threw a spanner in the works here largely was tariffs. And obviously we did have some political instability within Japan as well. There's been a few different things going on since that period. However, it seems like we could get the Bank of Japan to start hiking rates pretty soon. I want to say pretty soon. It could be maybe within the end of this year into 2026. So this isn't a short-term trade. I'm definitely not looking to day trade this or anything. It would be a very slow, gradual DCA short position. We do already have Credit Agricole in shorts. So they've got an entry at 184.4. They have a stop loss at 190.1 and a take profit down here at 175. So I'm looking to sort of mirror this trade, but layer in, rather than having just one entry like you see here with a stop loss. It'd be a case of maybe selling 0.02 lots and then selling another 0.02 and slowly just building up a larger position. Because again, we do have that central bank divergence now in play. So if we just have a look at the Bank of Japan here, we can see the Bank of Japan holds rates at 0.5 amid political uncertainty. Rate hike in October, unlikely. Focus shifts to early 2026. That's basically what I was saying. But they do have a neutral to hawkish stance. And remember, they do have an interest rate of 0.5. So if we compare that to the Swiss National Bank with an interest rate at 0, again, what does that tell us? Well, short sellers now get paid to hold shorts. So it's beneficial to unwind the long positions that have been built over the past couple of years and actually swap over that bias into being short. So again, Swiss National Bank holds policy rate at 0%, dovish to neutral stance, which is very, very good for this position. So I'm going to likely enter a position if we can see this 50% retracement get hit and see a rejection. I'll enter a very small trade and see how it goes from there. Pound Canadian. Now, we've spoken about the Canadian dollar a lot over the past couple of weeks. I actually made a video dedicated to the Canadian dollar and basically running through all its problems. So if you want to know more about Canadian dollar, go and check out that video because we won't be doing that here right now. But Canada is still in a very, very poor spot. The pound, or the UK, also in a very poor spot. They've got some serious fiscal issues, or I should say we've got some serious fiscal issues over here in the UK. But besides all that, we do have a very bullish reading here on the Edge Finder of 14. Now, given the trend as well, I think we could catch something quite nice here actually. So although we are having problems in the UK and problems in Canada, this is where it comes down to a relative view. Which one is worse? Which one could hold up better? In my view, I think the UK could hold up better than Canada at the moment. Not for long. I think we might one day see that change. But speaking, intraday swing trades, I think that this trade could hold some legs, or have some legs, whatever that saying is. So we could see something like this where we have a retest into these previous highs, sort of come and meet this 200 moving average, and then continue higher and finally break this resistance level. So again, very simple, very straightforward. So that's what I'm watching on the pound Canadian. Euro CAD, exactly the same thinking. There isn't really much else going on with the Euro CAD. Although the landscape for the euro does seem a little bit stronger than the pound. We've got a relatively stable ECB at the moment. There are some problems within the eurozone, absolutely. But again, it comes down to that thing of which one is worse, to be honest with you. In this case, I think, again, Canada is the loser. So I will look to be holding some Euro CAD longs in my portfolio if we can see a pullback into this trend line, come and meet this 200, and then continue higher. Euro pound, I would actually like to go long euro pound. So exactly the same reason I've already mentioned on pound CAD and euro CAD. I think it now comes down to a case of, well, although yes, I may be buying pound, I may be buying euros, but I also kind of want to buy some more euros and sell some pounds or sterling. So if we can come down, see this 200 moving average get hit, see a rejection, it would be a very, very clean, simple setup. There also is the factor that the Bank of England is very likely to cut rates at a faster pace than the ECB. So yeah, I think if we can come down, create a double bottom on this previous level of resistance, it's going to be a very straightforward trade. So if we can just catch a runner higher and be quite aggressive with the trailing stops. We were actually already long euro pound at this point here. I ended up cutting it in my Discord for about 8%. I wish it was 8%, 0.8% return. So it wasn't anything too crazy, but we took some money off and I'm looking to get back in it this week. That leads us on to the New Zealand US dollar. Now I'm looking to go long here as well. However, the problem that I'm seeing is that the trend is very aggressive to the downside, and we do have a negative asymmetry in terms of risk. So ING have a target here of 0.6. The issue really is, where the heck do we put a stop loss? Because bear in mind, again, the trend is bearish and there's very little technical levels here for a stop. The best case really is around here. So although this looks okay, I don't want to be a buyer right here, because this is likely, or it looks like it could just be a top of the next pullback before we come lower. So really, a stop loss might actually have to be down here, which again is that negative asymmetry in the risk, because we've got less than a 1 to 0.5 R&R here. So this is what I'm going to leave on the watch list in case we see some sort of trend change, we see some reason to actually be a buyer. But right now, I'm just a little bit on pause here. So again, this really comes down to the fact that the RBNZ is expected to cut, but that whole easing cycle by the RBNZ is kind of priced in again. We're not looking for anything, or we're not expecting any massive changes. It seems like quite a normal, stable cutting cycle that, again, is priced in. So that brings us on to the dollar crosses. Now, the only exception here to selling dollars is dollar CAD. So I'll speak about dollar yen and dollar Swiss sort of simultaneously. So there isn't really anything overly interesting that I'm looking for in dollar Swiss. It's kind of just looking for a very simple fib level to pull back to, and then continuation lower. We've got very, very clean established bearish trend. We've broken a major level of support here on dollar Swiss. So if we can get some sort of pullback, I will be very happy to be a seller. Dollar yen is a bit more tricky, however, because we are pretty much just range bound. There's not a whole lot going on here. I mean, even our moving averages are pretty parallel to one another. So it comes down now to just waiting for a reasonable pullback to the upside to be a short seller. That's pretty much all it is. There isn't anything complicated going on there. However, the dollar CAD, again, this one comes down to which one's worse. Well, again, it comes down to Canada, really. We do also have the Edge Finder giving us a very bullish reading here of 14, so that's great. So I'm looking to see if we can have some sort of very, very simple pullback here on the H4 towards our 200. And then I would look to enter here, continue. If we can I'll break and retest this level, I'd be looking to enter again here and scale into this position and let it run. So there's two benefits to this trade. First of all, it does line up with the economics and the fundamental landscape. Second of all, it would just hedge out some of my dollar short risk. So if I'm looking to go short dollar Swiss, short dollar yen, I'm looking to go long New Zealand US dollar, that makes me very heavy on shorts on US dollar. So I could very happily or very easily diversify that short risk by going long on the dollar CAD, and that's just a nice way just to reduce some of that downside. If there is any large volatility that hits the dollar, at least either way, some of my positions will be in the blue. So when it comes to the precious metals, specifically gold and silver, there isn't anything to say here. It's just continue to buy. That's not financial advice. That's my personal opinion. I will just look to be a buyer continuously. I've just realized that's platinum, not silver, because I've already got some positions on silver. But silver and gold, very straightforward. I'm looking to be a buyer on any dips, any and every dip, mainly silver. Gold, yes, I do agree with that sentiment still, but I would much, much prefer to be a buyer of silver than gold. And that's actually where my portfolio is allocated right now. I have no money in gold. Not a large portion, but I do have quite a large amount that I'm willing to get exposed on silver too. So I've got buy limits all throughout down here, just in case we do see some sort of larger correction on the higher time frames. I would love to see that. I'm already in one long position, but again, I've got some buy limits throughout the lower prices. So if we can see that correction, I'll be tagged in. And I really do think we could likely see 50 to 55 on silver by the end of the year. And I would love to keep holding silver for as long as possible. I really think silver has a massive amount of potential over the long term. I want to say long term, I mean very long term, 5, 10, 15 year time period. So that brings me on to Nat Gas. Now, I always say this, so if you are a regular viewer of mine, I apologize, I'll sound like a broken record, but I don't trade Nat Gas at all. I've never ever placed a trade on Nat Gas, so I'm taking it very cautiously. There are as far as what I've researched, I've looked into, there is no reason to be a buyer of Nat Gas right here or just yet. However, what we do have on the daily is a really nice trend line up here. We've just had a very nice rejection off the 200 moving average on a downtrend, so I would love to be a buyer of Nat Gas around 240, 250-ish within that zone into around $4, and that would be my target on Nat Gas. That seems to be an institutional target across the board. From what I've researched, what I've looked into, $4 is kind of the target to have. But again, we're just kind of waiting now for some reason to be a buyer of Nat Gas, because again, there just isn't anything there. So next up, or finally, we have the Dow Jones, don't know why I called it Dow Jones. Anyway, I think Dow Jones is a brilliant long position. We do have very bullish reading here on the Edge Finder with a score of 9, so that does make me want to be a buyer. Now, I was looking at the Dow on Friday, and unfortunately, I didn't quite get it. I was looking to be a buyer on the 50% retracement, but we didn't quite get down there. So that would also be quite a nice double bottom here. So if we can see that, I'd be quite happy to take a long position, sort of not a long-term position, maybe just a sort of intraday hold, maybe throughout the week, just trail stops quite aggressively. Now, the reason for that is because I'm already exposed to the S&P 500. So we've got a position trade on here. Again, this was sent to the Discord. So I'm just letting this one run, and I don't want to be overly exposed to the US stock market, just in case anything crazy happens. We've got pound Swiss long, Euro US dollar short, which is looking a little bit tricky. Luckily, we're getting, well, not luckily, but we are getting paid swaps for this. So, at least we are making a little bit of money whilst holding some drawdown, but it's just been such a messy trade. Euro Swiss, we are in a long position. It's currently sat in a bit of drawdown, and I am currently in a personal trade on silver. I'm just waiting for a pullback on the higher time frame so I can send that out to my Discord members. But guys, that wraps up the watch list for this week. I hope you've had a great weekend. I hope you enjoy the rest of your weeks. Stay safe, don't get margin called, and I will speak to you very soon. Please drop a like and subscribe.